In today's video, me and a guest are going to talk about 7 hidden gems on the GameCube that you need to play. Before I get into the first game on my list, let me introduce today's guest, and that is Marcello from GameCube Galaxy. He has one of the best GameCube channels on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, link will be in the description down below. Marcello, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Hey everyone, Marcello here from GameCube Galaxy, and my good friend Matt reached out asking if I can provide 1 or 2 hidden gems to add to his list that he's providing you guys. To start off, my first hidden gem is going to be ESPN International Winter Sports 2002. Now, hear me out. International Winter Sports 2002 may sound just like a generic type of game. However, if you're a fan of the track and field series that Konami did, well, this is Konami's winter sports answer for the 6th gen of consoles. Playing across a variety of events like snowboarding and bobsleighing and skiing and a few others, there's a lot to really enjoy here. And now every event plays totally different from one another, and they even have their own unique control setups. And there's a tutorial in the beginning of each one to at least give you an idea of what to do, and it does a good job of doing that. Going for all the gold medals in every event here is definitely going to challenge you, and honestly, it's one of those games that's just going to make you keep coming back for more and perfecting your runs. There's actually unlockable hidden characters as well you can get, and they're kind of goofy, but hey, you know what? There's something to strive for when playing through this game. And much like Konami's track and field games, Winter Sports 2002 has a great multiplayer mode and just brings a lot of fun to the table with you and a friend or you and a family member. International Winter Sports 2002, definitely a game that does not get enough love, and honestly, it's easily a hidden gem for the GameCube that I grew up with and could never recommend enough, especially with how cheap it is. This is not even $8. Anyway, that's my first pick. Matt, back to you.
Awesome pick, Marcello. The first game on my list that we're going to talk about as a hidden gem is KO the Kangaroo Round 2. KO the Kangaroo Round 2 was released on the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox on March 21st, 2006. It is a 3D platformer where you take on the role of a kangaroo named KO while he works to save the animal world from an evil hunter and his henchmen. You will platform your way through 21 levels across 5 worlds while fighting enemies, avoiding obstacles, and overcoming environmental challenges. There are a variety of power-ups you will utilize throughout the game, like a boomerang, a flying helmet, and more. There are also vehicles and objects to help you along your way, like catapults, motorboats, snowboards, and more. KO the Kangaroo Round 2 is a really fun and solid platformer with decent controls and solid level design, and pretty fun combat, although both the platforming and combat can be a bit clunky at times. The visuals are pretty solid with plenty of color, detailed textures, and foliage, as well as some really good animations. The music is pretty good too, and only plays during certain moments of the level and changes dynamically depending on what is happening, and the sound design is immersive as well. KO the Kangaroo Round 2 is a surprisingly fun 3D platformer, and I certainly consider it a hidden gem that you should check out. The next hidden gem on my list is Disney's The Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion was released on the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox on October 16th, 2003, and it is based on the Haunted Mansion Disney ride. You take on the role of Zeke as he is trapped within the mansion with a fortune teller named Madame Leota, and he is tasked with purging the mansion of evil before he can escape. The core gameplay loop in the Haunted Mansion has you exploring room to room within the mansion. In each room, you first have to find the light switch to turn the lights on, then you have to find a certain number of shriveled souls in order to move on to another room in the mansion. While doing this, you will be fighting evil spirits, spiders, and more by locking on to enemies and firing shots from your magic lantern in a sort of third-person shooter style gameplay. In addition to that, you will be platforming and solving a variety of puzzles and other challenges. For example, there was one area where you're on a giant pool table as a pool cue tries to hit you with the cue ball, and you have to try to make it hit all the balls in while also fighting off ghosts. For such a simplistic gameplay loop, it is surprisingly engaging and addicting, and I found myself looking forward to each room and what challenges it holds for me. The visuals are also pretty nice with plenty of detailed textures and decent lighting effects, and the music and sound design all add to a creepy mansion atmosphere. If you're looking for a game that I would best describe as Luigi's Mansion except it is a third-person shooter, then The Haunted Mansion is the hidden gem for you. The next hidden gem on my list is a super fun arcade racer called Speed Kings. Speed Kings was released on the GameCube and PlayStation 2 on May 28, 2003, and later on the Xbox in June the same year. The best way I know how to describe Speed Kings is Burnout on motorcycles, except this game has some very cool mechanics that differentiate it from Burnout enough to make it worth playing. In Speed Kings, you will race your way through a variety of single-player modes like single race, meets, time attack, trick attack, and more in super fast-paced, balls-to-the-wall racing action. During races, you can do tricks like bike surfing, headstands, wheelies, and more, as well as dinging against vehicles in traffic in an effort to drive as dangerously as possible and build your power band meter so you can use boosts to go much faster. You can also kick and power slide into other racers to knock them down, kind of like Road Rash. Speaking of the power slide, you can use it to avoid certain obstacles, and it is a ton of fun. In addition to a fun trick system and being able to attack the other bikers, you also sometimes have to avoid the police, and each race in meets mode has 3 tasks to complete, like jump for 200 meters, ding 20 vehicles, knock down 8 players, and more. And for each task you complete, you get a respect point, which is how you unlock cool respect bikes to race with. There's also a Grand Prix mode you can unlock where you race with no traffic and extra bikers, as well as a variety of multiplayer modes to play locally. And so all of this culminates in a gaming package that is packed full of fun content to sink your racing teeth into. Also, I have to mention that Speed Kings runs buttery smooth and looks and sounds great. So if you are a fan of fast-paced arcade racing games like Burnout, then Speed Kings is a hidden gem you should 100% have in your collection. The next hidden gem on my list is Mission Impossible Operation Surma. Mission Impossible Operation Surma released on the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox in December 2003, and it is a stealth action game that follows Ethan Hunt and team on a new mission in an original story that takes place between the second and third movies. Your mission is to recover an advanced computer virus called the Ice Worm and track down the group of people using it for sabotage. There are 5 large missions in the game, each with a variety of objectives to complete, and you sneak and sometimes fight your way through each area. You have access to a wide variety of useful stealth and combat techniques, as well as some really cool gadgets and weapons that will really make you feel like you are in a Mission Impossible film. Now, I will say the graphics don't really hold up well and the controls are a bit clunky and overcomplicated at times, but once you adjust and get used to everything, you will be able to have a fun time playing. The sound design is immersive and the music definitely has the same epic feel as the movies at times. I also like how at times there is a blend of stealth and action depending on what is going on in the mission, but the shooting just doesn't feel good, sadly. But again, you do adjust after a while. Even though Mission Impossible Operation Surma is not as polished and well designed as the Splinter Cell games, there's still a good time to be had, and I for sure consider it a hidden gem. So if you are a fan of stealth games and or Mission Impossible, then I highly recommend checking out Mission Impossible Operation Surma. Now for the next hidden gem, I'm going to turn it over to Marcello from GameCube Galaxy, and then after that I'll cover my final hidden gem for today's video.
Alright, so to wrap up my side of things, there's one more game I want to talk about. Now, this is one I never really deemed a hidden gem, and then it dawned on me that not a lot of people played this, so I guess it's a hidden gem. For me, that pick is Extreme G3. Extreme G3 was the first futuristic racing title for the GameCube. It came out within the launch window of the console, and Extreme G3 takes whatever elements worked great in the first game, what didn't work in the second game, and found a way to refine the entire franchise with this third installment. Everything about this game just works so well. The sense of speed is second to none. The gameplay is tight, it's frenetic, the graphics are outstanding, the soundtrack is absolutely bumping. This game is an absolute blast. Now, this game is also quite challenging, and chances are, if you're gonna beat this game, you might be putting on the invincibility cheat, because you die pretty quickly in the harder difficulties. But if you're looking for an extremely fast-paced motorcycle racing game, Extreme G3 is one that I can never recommend enough, and sadly, I don't think a lot of people got around to playing. Now, there is also XGRA, but between the 2 games that are available for the GameCube, Extreme G3 is the far superior choice, and also doesn't break the bank. Thank you, Matt, for having me on board for this episode. I'm always down for jumping in on a Hidden Gems one, and I'm glad I could highlight some that I feel like really not a lot of people talk about.
Marcello, your final hidden gem was definitely a great pick. And folks, again, if you've never checked out GameCube Galaxy, you are severely missing out. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description down below, so go show him some love. Now, for my final hidden gem, it's a game that really surprised me, and that game is Pitfall: The Lost Expedition. Pitfall: The Lost Expedition was released on the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox on February 19th, 2004. It is an action-adventure platformer where you take on the role of Harry Pitfall as he sets out on an epic adventure to help an archaeologist save her dad and stop the villain from finding the lost city of El Dorado. You will be exploring, platforming, and fighting your way through a large world linked together by smaller areas in environments like jungles, caverns, mountains, and ruins, while dealing with a variety of enemies such as monkeys, crocodiles, natives, scorpions, and more. As you explore the world, you will find treasures you can spend at the shaman shop for health upgrades, new moves, and more. As you progress, you will gain new gear like a canteen for healing, a torch for burning things down, a sling for attacking from a distance, TNT for blowing stuff up, and more, which will enable you to explore new areas and find new secrets, almost like a Metroidvania. I also really like the map system, the journal for storytelling, and the bestiary as you encounter new enemies. All of these details add to the experience. The controls are pretty smooth, the visuals are colorful and vibrant with plenty of detail and foliage and great animations. The sound design and music are fantastic, and most important of all, the game is fun and hard to put down. Pitfall: The Lost Expedition is a game that I enjoyed so much I plan on sitting down and playing all the way through the entire game one day. And it is certainly a game I can recommend to you all as a hidden gem on the GameCube. That is it for today's video covering 7 hidden gems. Special thanks to guest Marcello from GameCube Galaxy. Link down below. Let me know what you guys think about the games we covered in today's video, and let me know in the comments down below any hidden gems you recommend.